In this video, we're going to go over a couple ways to keep your data safe. Now, two main things you want to keep in mind are having a good password manager and also a way to encrypt your data if you need to encrypt your data. Now, KeePassXC is a really good way to help keep your passwords safe. It is a password manager, which means that it stores our username and passwords, URLs, which is really handy because as we do OSINT investigations, chances are we're going to have a lot of different accounts and also a lot of passwords we have to remember. Now, instead of writing it down, it's great to keep that password manager because it is encrypted. In this case, it's 256-bit AES encryption. And this works for Windows, Linux, and OS X. The other thing we could use is a password system here, like BMU. It's a credit card size device that actually stores your password, has biometrics in there, and also acts as a two-factor authentication. Personally, I actually use both devices, and I like them both a lot. However, for this, we're going to actually talk about KeePass a little bit more. So again, KeePass is free. It's really easy to install, so I'm not going to go over that. You can find it over at KeePassXC.org and download it for your particular platform. So once you have it installed, we could actually just go to database and we could set up a new database. And in this case, I'm just going to call this demo. And you could add a description if you want and click continue. And here we can do the decryption time, the database format. I'm going to leave everything default, click continue. We'll give that a moment and we enter a password. Okay, and click done. And then it wants to save your password. I'm just going to type demo here so I know what this is. Okay, and here we have our database here. Now the nice thing is we can actually set up new groups in here. I can call one OSINT. And I can create another one, say new group. I could do social media. So we can keep things kind of organized. Now within these groups, I can go in here and I can click the plus and I can put a title. I could do things like sock puppet, account, and username John Doe, and password, and a URL, say https www.gmail.com, for example. And we can set an expiration date and note. So notes, I could put down sock puppet for Gmail, John Doe, male, age 29, location Seattle, etc., etc. And then we can click OK. Now, the nice thing about this is password managers are great because if someone puts a keylogger on your system, keylogger is designed to log the keystrokes. Now, if you're using password manager, there is no keystrokes to record. So if I go here, I can do copy username. And say I go in here, I can do paste. It'll paste the username. I can go back in here, I can do copy password. And I can do paste, and it'll copy the password. That makes things really easy. Now, if I go back in here, again, I have a title, I have my username, I have my password, I have my URL. So I could even have it type in the URL if I want. So if I close this, let's go back in here. Open database, demo. And if we right click in here, we could do auto type sequence, password, username. We can clone the entry and whatnot. Open the URL. And it makes things really easy. And again, the whole thing's encrypted. Again, we could put as many passwords in here, URLs, that way we don't have to remember all these different things. Again, it makes it really handy and much more secure than, say, having the same password for everything, having the same username for everything. This really helps keep things kind of straight. And of course, we could always go Again, I like using this device also in addition to KeyPass. Again, this is a little credit card, literally a credit card sized device. It has biometrics to log into the system. You could run it off your computer. Again, of course, it is going to be more expensive than running a free program, but I like having this around as a two-factor authentication, also having passwords on the go. Now, another thing you want to consider looking at is VeriCrypt. Now, VeriCrypt will actually encrypt different volumes for you. We can encrypt a USB drive, we can encrypt folders on our system, and whatnot. And again, this is for Linux, for OS X, and for Windows. So, if I have a drive or a folder I really want to encrypt, say we're doing an OSINT investigation, we're collecting information, we're collecting evidence, and I want to make sure that it's secure, I'm going to use something like VeriCrypt. So I could open this up and we can encrypt different volumes here. Now we can go in here, we can create a new volume, encrypt file or container, encrypt non-system partition drive. We can encrypt our entire drive if we want to. I'm just going to do encrypt a file container. We're going to click next. And we could make it hidden, or we can make it standard. I'm just going to go through the defaults here. And never save history. I'm going to select a file here. Let's go into our desktop. I'm going to demo. I'm going to do test2. And that's going to create our volume. We're going to click next. And we can select the encryption algorithm. I'm going to leave it AES. And we could do the hash algorithm, SHA-512, Whirlpool, SHA-256, Street Bog. I'm going to leave it SHA-512. Click next. And in here we determine how large that volume size is going to be. We can make it kilobytes, megabytes, gigabytes, or even terabytes. So since this is a demo, I'm just going to make it 1 megabyte. Click next, and we want to create a password. Okay. And I'm just going to put a bad password in here because this is a demo. And also to show you this. So if we create a password that's really bad, it's going to warn us the password's too short, easy to crack using brute force techniques. They do recommend using 20 characters or more. So I'm going to click yes. We're still going to use this because this is a demo. But of course, if you have something else, something important, you should actually adhere to their recommendations. So you just randomly move your mouse. That way it does the encryption. We do format, and it formats a new section. Okay. So I am going to click next, cancel out of here, and now we have our new volume here. So if I try to go to test2, it has no way to open it. It doesn't know what this is, and it's unable to open it. But if I go to mount here, or select file, I can do mount. Actually, let's see. Select file. We'll go to the desktop here. Let's go to our demo, test2. Okay, and now this is selected. We're going to do mount. And we're going to do our password. Okay, click OK. And now this is actually unlocked. If I double click this, it'll open this up. And I could put things in here. I could do a new text file, secret password, for example. And we can drop another file in there. Important data. Okay, and if I do dismount, I can't get back in that folder again. Matter of fact, if I just click on O, it's going to ask me for the password again. I can click password. It'll take a little bit to decrypt it, open it up, and there's our files again. So again, using things like VeriCrypt, using things like KeyPass XC, BIMU, and also two-factor authentication are all great ways of helping keeping your data safe, which is always going to be important for the integrity of your investigation. Especially if you're doing an investigation for a company or a person, you want to make sure that data is safe, secure, and that your client has reasonable expectations of security. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.